Jason Sloan has been making music for over 20 years. He's had a lot of accomplishments in that time, including his current project, Lavnir, which has a bunch of albums, full lengths and EPs on his Bandcamp page. We've played Lavnir's music on the show a few times, including opening last week's show with the video for Shadow Dance. You might also remember in August, Unseelie played a song called Now I See, and after the interview is over, we're going to see the video for that. We just watched the video for The River, which I hear is a fan video, but an awesome video nonetheless. So let's get to know Jason Sloan a little bit better, joining us from his studio in Baltimore, Maryland. Hello, Jason. Welcome to New Music Mondays.
Hey, Davey. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a great pleasure.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. It's great to see you. And it looks like you play keyboards.
I guess so.
Yeah, good. They told me you played flute. No.
Melodica, yes, I do.
Oh, I love melodica. No way. That's great.
Yeah.
I have a baritone old Hohner, that old-fashioned style in my closet right
that's exactly what I have. It's the same
yeah.
one, the same one that Martin Gore and Bernard Sumner used.
Bernard Sumner, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's why I have it. I'm in a Joy Division tribute band, so every once in a while,
Cool.
A little excuse to play it. So tell us about your music career, starting with 20 years ago. What happened in the very beginning?
Well, it's been a long path to get there. I don't come from a musical background in terms of education. I'm all self-taught with everything from composition to equipment to everything. I actually come from a fine arts background. I studied painting in undergrad and theater and education, and my graduate degree is in interrelated media, so it's more interdisciplinary, and which is where I really started to apply sound and music, because I was doing like some installation art and performance art and things. At that point, I was making music, but it really wasn't like my primary focus. I was using it more to create atmosphere or environmental sounds for a lot of the visual work that I was doing. But I've always been interested in music ever since I can remember. Like the first memory that I ever have, and I share this with my students sometimes, and it's just kind of funny, but so when I was a kid, my mom would always turn the dishwasher on, and I'd go out, I would have to I'd dance to the sort of the cycle, the mechanical whirring that it would make. And I always joke to myself, that was, I think, my introduction to electronic or industrial music. It was very musique concrète, and so I just always was interested in music, and had one of those boom boxes when I was a kid with a little synthesizer on top of it, and I would always play along with the Cars songs. I was always really into a lot of the new wave bands growing up, Split Enz, the Cars, B-52s, a lot of that, Duran Duran, Japan. And so I'd always play along with the cassette tapes on top of the boom box. So I think that was really my introduction. I didn't want to play along or recreate. I wanted to kind of make my own. So I think that was the gateway for me at that point.
Yeah. So besides inanimate household appliances as inspirations for the direction that you took in your life, was there a human being that had a particular influence on you?
Yeah, I'll say, because the first band that I really loved through my own discovery was the Cars back in the early 80s. And I was always I loved like the otherworldly sounds at the time, that they really stood out. They stood apart in especially a lot of the mainstream music at that point. So, Greg Hawkes, their synthesizer player, I would have to say really just was always interested in how he was making a lot of these really interesting sounds. And, so I would probably say like Greg Hawkes. Mid to late 80s is when I discovered like Depeche Mode, the Smiths, New Order, a lot of the usual suspects that now are, really looked at as laying the groundwork, so to speak, for a lot of what's come after that. But that stuff at that point was still very cutting edge, and you'd get, especially where I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. It was just, a lot of that music, it was difficult to get a hold of back then. And oftentimes that, if you listened to it, people never heard anything like that, which is kind of crazy to think now, but this is obviously pre-internet days. So oftentimes you caught a lot of crap for not listening to Motley Crue or to Poison. It's like, what is this Depeche Mode? So, yeah, that was a lot of my, a lot of the things that informed where I ended up going aesthetically.
Right, right. So I said earlier that you have made a life of music, and I mean that literally, because not only do you do music as kind of a hobby, but you also get paid to be a music professor at the Maryland Institute College of Art. Tell me about that. What classes do you teach?
I run the sound art program there, so it's not a conservatory per se. It's really sound for the visual artist because it's an art college. So it's thinking about sound as a material, and the same way that a painter or a sculptor would approach their medium. That's the philosophy that I take when approaching sound. It's how I work with it in the studio, because I don't read music. I really think about sound visually, and that's how I compose. And it's interesting because I, really started out 25 years ago doing ambient music. And it was like really like adding water to color, and the colors would bleed. But then the music started getting tighter and tighter as I learned more. So now it's like, I'm making like actually structured songs and things. So that's the approach that we take at the college with the program, is that it's really thinking about sound as a material. It's not necessarily, taught the way a conservatory would teach that. But a lot of the courses that I've created and we offer in the department and the program are like Introduction to Sound, which really gives an overview into the fundamentals. A lot of the same type of stuff, that you would get in just recording schools, just understanding equipment, understanding microphones, the difference between a dynamic and a condenser, understanding a mixer, all of those basic fundamental stuff. Also the more, but then there's also courses like in live electronic music. So it's really creating live electronic music for both performance as well as, in the studio. Have courses like in sound art. So it's more experimental type of things, creating sound installations for like galleries and things of that nature. One of my favorite courses also is one that I created, which is called Soundscape, which is a field recording based class. And it's not really using field recording for like, from the perspective of Foley and things like that, although you could take the skills from that and apply it in that direction, but it's really more field recording used in composition. So, phonography is the technical term for it. So it's really creating ambient music, but through field recording or mixing it also with electronics and stuff. So,
Mhm.
but that's sort of that's sort of like a little sampling of a lot of, some of the courses that I teach
Mhm.
and that we offer in the program.
I'm going to guess that you might be familiar with the scape. It's kind of a show, I guess, called the Audium in San Francisco. Have you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I figured
And
you.
there's also a program you might be interested in as well. It's similar. It's reminds me. I'm sorry, it doesn't remind me. It's called Framework Radio, which is based out of Estonia. It used to be on Resonance FM in London, and then Patrick moved, the host for the program and the creator moved it to Estonia. But it's a syndicated program that's an hour every week. That is dedicated to field recording music that addresses field, that's field recording used in composition. So it's a very unique program, but yeah, it's also really, I love that show. Really cool stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. We will provide a link for that for folks so that they
Mhm.
can check that out. I'm going to put a link to the Audium also, since we're talking about it, just because it's
Yeah.
such an amazing project. I really love it. I don't know how many times I've been, 12, 15 times. What's the most fulfilling aspect about running that program for you?
Um, just it's the students are absolutely amazing. I've been at MICA, Maryland Institute College of Arts, where I teach. I've been there for coming up on 18 years, which is crazy. And every year I'm just inspired. When I leave the class, and our classes are 6 hours, and but they're instruction, history, studio time, so there's a lot of time to really work. And the most fulfilling thing for me is really seeing the satisfaction that the students have when they leave, seeing them perform, seeing when they came in, where they were at, when they leave. Um, I like to think that I inspire them, but I'm also very inspired by them. When class is done, I just want to go directly into the studio. I get so fired up, and it's a reciprocal thing for me because I learn as much from them as I think that they learn from me.
Mhm.
And that's, I think, really important. I have never claimed to know everything, and I never want to, despite however long I live or whatever, I never want to know everything because I just love the quest in life of just learning more and creating new experiences. And that's something that I find in the job, in my other job, as I call it, because, it's like I'm full-time musician in my practice, as well as then I teach also,
Mhm.
so that's, yeah, it's very fulfilling for me. And then just seeing the things that they're into and them sharing things with me, and that reciprocal exchange that we have, that I find very inspiring.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm a pretty big Tuxedo Gleam fan. Uh,
Ah, I love those guys.
they're friends of mine. We've played, shared a stage together. They live just an hour and a half east that way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're just so great. So your latest release is a split with them,
Hmm.
Davis, which came out in August. How did you hook up with
Yeah,
them?
man, I've known Anthony for a long time. I think we became introduced to each other, maybe I want to say 2012. There used to be I think it was internet based, but it was sort of like a dark wave, minimal wave, cold wave, retro, whatever wave you want to call it. Online magazine called the Scrap Mag, and it was, before my record label Cold Beats, who released a lot of the Lavenier stuff. It was a lot of the folks that were involved that later became involved in Cold Beats ran the Scrap Mag. So they would put out compilations. They would scrape, across the globe and find really interesting projects that fit that aesthetic. And I think it was either the first or the second comp that they had put out. Tuxedo Gleam was on it. I'm not sure, it may have just been Anthony at that time. I don't know if Angel was with him or not. But yeah, we were on that comp together, and that's really how we became aware of each other. Um, and then, yeah, we just sort of became friends. I think we just, through social media and all the usual channels. And then 2 years ago, I was out to NAMM in Anaheim, and I'd reached out to a couple people out on the West Coast about, well, I'm out here. Why don't I do some shows? So yeah, so Becca, I don't know if you know Becca.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Becca actually hooked it up, and so we ended up doing a few shows. Did one in Modesto and then one in Sacramento. Um, and yeah, that was great. So we did both. Yeah, did both of those shows with Tuxedo Gleam,
Oh,
and
that's so
then yeah, and then they had approached me. Anthony, when I got back, was like, "Hey, do you want to?" I can't remember who approached who, but we just decided that, hey, let's do a split. And I had done one maybe a year or two prior, with Silent Signals in Germany, and that Eins, Zwei, Sagt had put out. And I love Silent Signals. I was always a huge fan of Dirk's, back to the days when he had done some stuff on Weird Records up in New York. And so I was like, oh, I want to do another split. It just is inspiring to me. So yeah, so we did it. And um, I just decided to put it out. I was just like, as I have sort of my own imprint, Soleil Noir. So I was just like, I'll just release it. Um, so it was just, it's one of those things, if you can do it, it's just, you don't have to wait, because it's like when we're working with a label, of course they have their schedule and all of that stuff. So yeah, that's how that had come about. And so both of us, I think, were, very pleased with it. It was a lot
Oh,
of fun.
such a great record, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Well, if you are watching on Twitch, or YouTube. Well, on Twitch, look for the links for Soleil Noir and L'Avenir in the chat room. If you're watching on YouTube, look for the links in the description of the video, and same with if you're listening on Mixcloud. So you're working on a new album. Is this
Hmm.
going to be a full length?
Oh yeah, yes.
Great.
It's the follow up to Requiem, which was the 2019, the last full length. Released a few things since then, this year, because we had the release with Tuxedo Gleam. I also did a VHS release, which sold out. It was kind of an experiment, but I just like old formats, and there's like a whole subculture of VHS people, and I just like the aesthetic of the way it looks as well. So I just wanted to do that. So yes, I had the VHS release, and then had the V's, and then there was it was a B-side compilation
Yes.
that German label had put out. Yeah. So, but this is the next follow up, full length new album to that. So it should be out. My guess is in 2021 sometime.
Right. Sounds great. All right. Well, are there any other? You've been in a couple of live streams. Goths for Sanctuaries, I think, was the most recent one.
Yeah, I think I've done 5 up to this point,
Oh,
which is
wow.
crazy.
That's great.
Um, yeah, so yes, I did the Goths for Sanctuary benefit, which was a great honor to be, playing, just to be on the bill with a lot of the bands that I've loved over the years. The Chameleons. It was Marks. It was Chameleons, Vox, but nonetheless, it was just like to be on a bill with Mark's awesome. But yeah, it was them, Gene Loves Jezebel. A lot of really great Cassandra Complex. It was really really awesome. Yeah, I'd done that, and then I did Vox Sinestra's, Brittany's Strict Tempo. I did, I think, the second one that she'd done,
Awesome.
and did my own Soleil Noir stream. Most of them I think are available on my YouTube channel. And then I did it was like a 90-minute ambient. It was an instrumental show for an ambient live stream, which is available on my YouTube channel as well. That was a lot of fun. And for a lot of the Love fans that may not know, I mean, I have like a whole other career behind me. It was like I probably have close to 20 albums under my own name that I don't really talk about all that much, because it's just like, I don't know. It's just it's for me. It's like it makes sense, the crossover, but it's yeah, I don't know. A lot of the ambient people don't like the Lobnier stuff, and I've seen a lot of like the people that like Lobnier don't like so it's just I just
Yeah.
compartmentalize them.
Do you have
But
any live streams coming up?
yeah, so I do have one on the 25th of this month. I'm going to be streaming it from my studio. So I've curated another evening, because I do book some shows around Baltimore when things are normal. So yeah, it's going to be Ghost Cop from up in Brooklyn, myself, Social Station from DC, and possibly another surprise musician as well, and then it'll be DJ'd also. I'm finalizing some of the details on that, but that's going to be on the 25th of this month, and there'll be a Facebook and Instagram. All the advertisements and stuff should be hopefully up by this weekend, so we'll start promoting that.
Wow, that's great. That's so exciting. All right. Well, we are going to close with the video for Now I See. Jason Sloan, thank you so much for joining us on New Music Mondays. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Davey.
All right. Take care. Thank you. This is the video for Now I See, which can be found on L'Avenir's latest release, that split that we were talking about with Tuxedo Gleam, Davies.
You're watching New Music Mondays.
Hi everyone, hope you liked that video. If so, please like and subscribe to receive notifications when we upload more content. New Music Mondays is a live stream show every Monday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/DavyBonesOakland. It features myself and a weekly guest DJ spinning new releases in the world of dark music, post-punk, goth, dark wave, as well as interviews with the people that make the music happen. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure to join us live. Again, that's every Monday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., or actually about 9:30 Pacific time. The audio will always be uploaded the next day to my Mixcloud page, mixcloud.com/Davy Davy Bones Oakland. And thanks for watching the video on YouTube. The interviews will all be uploaded to the YouTube channel, as well as an occasional kind of behind the scenes video as well. All right. Thanks again.